Well, hey, Ricky.
Hello.
Hey, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you too.
Well, my name is Pete Kronowitt. These are Face the Music shows we've been doing for state legislative candidates across the country. I am really, really excited about this show specifically for you. So I'll just give like the 10-second blurb that is on your website, but that you're a proud Cuban American. You were raised in Miami-Dade, like I was raised in South Florida as well. You're a community organizer, which is actually near and dear to my heart because that's what I feel like I've been doing the last 3.5 years. And you're also currently the regional press secretary for the Sierra Club, another area that's also important, not just to me, but for everybody, especially during hurricane season and climate change. So, and one more thing, I think you're the vice chair of the Miami-Dade Democratic Party.
I am.
Yeah, well, so I'm so excited to be doing the show. We have a great artist, Len Seligman, who's going to be playing a little later on. Yay! Len's got some great music. I'm a big Len fan. So anyway, yeah, this is going to be a little bit of fun, a little time out for the taking away from all the craziness that's happening in the world and listening to some music. You
That
know,
sounds great, especially today.
especially today. Yeah, you know, um, uh, Ruth, Justice Ginsburg. My wife posted a quote that she had from here. I'm going to read it verbatim, but it was from the Shelby versus Holder dissent. It's the one that nullified the civil rights voter protection. So in that dissent, she quoted Martin Luther King, and she said, of course, the quote everybody knows: "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." And then she continued, and she said, "If there is a steadfast commitment to see the task through to completion." And I think that is perfect for where we are. It's just like this right thing, you know, her entire life was spent for justice and humanity, a constitutional icon. And, we need to focus on the task at hand and continue what we started and what she started.
Yeah, and I was reading this beautiful piece by NPR last night that went through her entire life, and it started talking about her later years in the Supreme Court and how she said, although she knew she was in the dissenting, giving the dissenting opinion, she made sure to make those dissenting opinions as specific and as targeted as possible. And she said that her hope was to be able to live to see the day when her dissenting opinion would come back up and be looked at and viewed and read by a different Supreme Court, making a decision on something that had come up years past. And I think it's beautiful the way that she thought about her legacy, her enormous and long legacy, not just for women's rights, but for equality in general. So, me and my friends obviously are big RBG fans, the notorious RBG.
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of people are feeling today, especially with Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and everything that everyone's reflecting on now coming into this new year. It's just amazing what we're living in and just how much we took even RBG for granted when we had her. And so I think people are reflecting. I think we're celebrating her life, and we should. But we have to understand what her legacy was and what the impact on the Supreme Court is now.
Absolutely. And it's why I think that we continue. Like I know what you said to us a little earlier. You spent the day social distancing, knocking on doors, and letting people know that the campaign is going on, and that's exactly what we should be doing to pay tribute to Justice Ginsburg and the long work that she had done for human rights and people's rights and equality. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's like two sides of it. We're all feeling a sense of sadness. I mean, no matter what side of the aisle you might be on, you have to admire this woman, and then there are those of us who are also a little bit angry, angry that the response has been so swift and so hypocritical on the other side. And the only way for us to make a difference right now is to win big in November.
Exactly. You have to take and channel that anger into something positive.
Yeah.
RBG told her granddaughter, recited to her granddaughter as she knew her final days were coming, and
Yeah.
said that she hoped that they wouldn't even look to replace her on the Supreme Court until after the cycle and the installment of a new president. So she knew this was coming. She wanted on her, on her deathbed, her dying words to be made sure that they were sent out to everyone, and that was her dying wish. And I hope that we get to see that through.
All right. Well, so, I think what we'll do is we'll jump into some music and then we'll bring you back on. You and I will chat for a little bit about your campaign, about you. And I'm really excited about this. Your history is just so rich in public service and, helping the community in many different ways. So I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about you as well. But let's do some music first.
Let's do it.
All right. Cool. All right. I'm going to take off those little headphones because, all right. So cool. All right. So this is a 40-year-old guitar. It's the first guitar that I really started to learn how to play on. And, I think a lot of what we're going through has to do with the perspective that I had to take in writing this song. And there's a quote by a singer-songwriter named Billy Bragg that I usually introduce the song to. I think I'll use that. Billy Bragg is a UK-based singer-songwriter, and he's known for his leftist progressive activism. And I saw him speak back in early 2017. It was at a conference. And what he said, I think, is really important. And really important for now. He said, for those of us who want to do good in the world, our real enemy is not communism or capitalism. It's cynicism. It's that feeling that no matter what we do, nothing is ever going to change, that everything is going to remain the same, and that all politicians are alike. And the antidote for cynicism is empathy. And then Billy goes on to say, and he repeats this in a lot of his public performances, but he goes on to say that if you combine empathy with solidarity, that's the equation for positive social change. So I started thinking about the creative process, what everybody does. What we all have creativity in our lives, in many aspects of our lives. And, the creative process is iterative. And what we do is we iterate until we find a new perspective. And the first time I truly did that was with this song. Played the fool again, let love slip through my hands again. There I go again, feel I've lost my best friend. I never learned, but I ask why. Always burn every time I try. No matter what we feel, no matter what we do, one can't love enough for two. I tried so hard, I tried everything. I cried so hard, I gave you everything. So concerned, was it a lie? Then you turned, didn't say goodbye. No matter what we feel or what we go through, one can't love enough for two. cross our lines, we dot our T's. We pass our time so foolishly. Whoa, no, we never learn, but some ask why. They will burn after we die. No matter what we feel, what we go through, one can't love enough for two. No matter what we feel, no matter what we do, one can't love enough for two. Yeah, that was from my first album, and the rest of these songs will be from a new album. And so, when I was 10 years old, I was living in North Miami, and my parents invited these 5 couples to come over our small apartment, and that was the beginnings of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And my dad was working for my uncle at the time. My uncle had the biggest printing plant in the country, in the southeast part of the country, and there we go. That's what happens when you do more than one thing at a time. And so he left that job, and he became executive director of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, an organization that they founded in our small apartment. And my mom became the first president. And the next decade of our lives were just consumed with what we called the foundation. And when I look back on that experience, before I get there, that the organization still exists. It's in Hollywood. It's in, it was mostly, it supports the University of Miami Diabetes Research Institute. But now the organization is called the Diabetes Research Institute, and it's headquartered in Hollywood. So, so when I look back at that experience, the thing that I'm left with, the thing that I took away from that experience is that, with patience and persistence and a whole lot of passion, a small group of people can have a lasting impact. You can make this world a better place, and do it with style and grace. Just choose your words precisely with care. Sprinkle some love and be aware. Ladybugs filled the room that day, and I knew she'd fly away. Simply look around, think about what you see, then you can judge without certainty. A half cup of doubt, but know that you can blend in some hope, then mix by hand. Ladybugs filled the room that day, We used to laugh almost every day. Maybe that's enough to remember that way. That's what my mom taught me in life. You can't change the world one thing at a time. That's for Mom. Ricky is a big supporter of environmental causes, as he's working for the Sierra Club, and it's one of the causes that I care about deeply. I don't know how you could be living in this world, So right now, I grew up in Florida, came to California for a job and a girl. Still got the girl. Matter of fact, the girl is working for a campaign in Arizona. So I got her, but she's not really here at home. She's working like everybody else is on this crazy political stuff. So this next song was inspired sitting at a park bench near my house and looking at all the animals around and realizing how vulnerable that they are, and we are as well. Sitting in my garden chair, there's a roly poly over there, touching many rows into a ball. There's no plan B for the roly poly. Got a feeling we're headed for a fall. Rising tides will sink our shores, bumblebees won't buzz no more, butterflies won't have a place to rest. Sink or swim, will we still care? Will the roly-poly still be there if we say we've done our very best? The garden grows all our food, the roly-poly lives there too. Like me and you, he wants grandkids too. Do I choose to sit and wait? Where the choices that we make, is there something more that we can do? Can I make a difference to what happens next? Yeah, there's some things I could do. Rising tides will sink our shores, bumblebees won't buzz no more, butterflies won't have a place to rest. Sink or swim, will we still care? Will the roly-poly still be there if we say we've done our very best? Can we handle what will happen next? All right. I got one more song. And but before I play that song, I got something to say, because it seems like I got something to say between all these songs. So, in working with state legislative candidates across the country, what you hear and what you'll hear from Ricky is, what inspired him to run, or, the issues around why he's running, what he plans to do for his future constituents. But what you won't hear normally from a candidate is you won't hear the following. You won't hear, it's hard. it's like running for a state legislative office. It's no glory. It takes time away from your family and your friends. You spend nights and weekends. It's a 24-hour job, 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job for and Florida, I know Florida, you don't get paid a whole lot of money for if you do get elected. It's not like a high paying, high roller kind of job. So, hey, if you have, economic resources right now, if you're one of the lucky folks who either, you have the financial means or you still have your job in this horrible economic situation we're in, any amount can help the campaign right now. Right now is the most critical time, like literally right now, because right now sets up the rest of the campaign. And state legislative campaigns are not that expensive, so your dollar has a bigger impact. I mean, and it helps everybody. It doesn't just help Ricky, but it helps the whole ticket because it gets people out to vote, and then they vote for who's ever running for Congress, and of course, the presidential thing that's happening. But if you're, one of those folks who has more time than you have economic resources, please volunteer. Making some phone calls. Maybe, I know Ricky is socially distantly knocking on doors. We'll hear about whether the campaign is getting other folks to do that, but I know you can make phone calls. It's just talking to people. I talk to people. I kind of like it. So I would just recommend that. So this last song, it's kind of subtle. Maybe you'll kind of get what I'm saying here. I'm gonna tell you all, it's time to kick your ass in gear. It's time to tear down fear. Do something now. The moment has arrived. We can tell we're alive and do more than survive. Do something now. It's time we do something. Do something. Do something now. Do something. Do something. Do something now. Don't just bitch and moan. Time to get on the phone. To be sure, just knock on doors. It's forward, ho. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. Do something, do something, do something now. Polar bears can't swim forever. Guns killed 7 kids today. 10 more lies, yeah. He's obviously a Russian spy. Women's rights are being stripped away. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. 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 I'm gonna tell you all, it's time to kick your ass in gear. All right. All right, so, Ricky, let's come back. I'll tell you what, if people donate to your campaign from this thing, here's my new album. It's very subtle. I will donate I will give some songs away. If you let me know who donates, I'll give some songs away to folks.
Awesome.
Ah, man.
Do something now.
Do something now.
No, I loved it. I loved it.
Wow. So, Ricky, maybe we should start at, you've been doing so much for community and organizing for a long time. I kind of highlighted some of the things about you. What motivated you to run for office? I mean, I know you worked. So maybe you can start with. I know you worked in other campaigns and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and honestly, it's just working in this field for so long and helping people not just run for office and win, but just helping people in the community. It gets to the point where, for me, I was trying to get the former representative that lost his seat in 2018 to jump back in and run for this seat again. And he told me, no, you should do it. And that was the first time I thought about it and said, okay, I guess instead of helping people run and win, people are starting to ask me to do the same. And so I couldn't take up the opportunity fast enough, and here I am.
Well, that's great. And it's like, when people start asking you, there's a reason why they're asking you. It's because, when you have a voice that makes sense, and so I'm glad you listen to people. The first thing on your website is about healthcare, and right now, this is a pandemic. Like, I don't think anyone, it doesn't matter how old you are. No one alive. Let's see, 1920. Yeah, no one alive Well, maybe there's a few folks who are still alive who saw the Spanish flu in 1920. But this seems to be even worse than the Spanish flu because we are so advanced with medicine compared to 100 years ago, and people are dying and people are spreading the disease. So, what what do you think that the you can do and the state legislatures can do to help folks with healthcare?
Yeah, and honestly, I've been going around and talking to people today. I was canvassing and talking about healthcare. My mom has multiple sclerosis since my freshman year of college, and we've been having to, dance around Medicare and Medicaid and doctors accepting it or denying it. And what do we do if they deny it? There's so many families that are in the same situation, and so many families that can't afford their prescription drugs. Today on the doors, I was talking to a husband who's taking care of his elderly mom. And it's frustrating because prescription drug prices keep on going up. And sometimes it's above the level that they can afford. And especially now with everything that's going on in our economy and people's job security, it makes it even more important. And so
Yeah,
for me, at the state level, we can do so much. In this state, we have an expanded Medicaid. Now more than ever, so many Floridians can benefit from something like that. And also, we can take the lead from other states who have put caps on very important prescription drugs like insulin, like epinephrine, so that people can afford it. And people don't have to decide between their medication and putting food on the table. And so anything we can do at the state level to make healthcare more affordable, more accessible to more Floridians is what I'm going to be fighting for.
I love that. Uh, I certainly know with my family's history around diabetes how expensive drugs are and how necessary. If you don't know how necessary drugs are to keep people alive, and especially with the elderly population in South Florida, it's vital. It's not like a choice. So yeah, that's very commendable. And do you have any comments about the handling of the pandemic?
Look, and I've had this conversation with my Republican family members, and by now everyone's come to the understanding that we didn't close down in the right way. We didn't do the responsible thing here in Florida. We didn't educate the community and educate the public and show from leadership's perspective what it means to be safe and protect yourself. We had a governor and a president who were not wearing masks and telling people that it wasn't mandatory at the beginning and the onset. Now we know after months and months and months of trial and tribunal by so many and so many deaths, that the one thing we could have done from the beginning that would have changed the tide was making sure that everybody understood that the most important thing was to wear a mask, socially distance, and make sure that you're taking care of you and the most vulnerable people in your family by isolating if you get sick. And so I think it's those kind of educational things at the onset would have made a world of difference.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. Matter of fact, there's a toll, there's a definitive toll that we're all paying, not just economically, but in lives, and it's very concerning. And it also has an impact on let's talk about the economy for a minute. One of the things that you're running on is jobs. I'd love to hear what your comments are about the economy in South Florida, especially with tourism, has got to be massively hit.
Well, not just tourism. On the west side of town where I'm running for office, everything is a small business. Miami and Miami-Dade County is a city and a county made up of small businesses. And many of them are realizing that they might not be able to open their doors again. Not only were we irresponsible in closing down on a health perspective, we were very irresponsible in closing down from an economic perspective as well. And those that are being hurt the most are our small businesses and our entrepreneurs that were making it in a new world economy, in a 21st century economy. And now we're finding that it's going to be difficult to get back on their feet or not be able to realize their dream and reopen their small business after the pandemic. And so we have to go up to Tallahassee and figure out how do we lift up our small businesses? How do we get our economy growing again? And it's going to be a very different conversation than we've had in the past. No longer is minimum wage going to be as an issue, because I don't think that there's anyone, Republican, Democrat, or independent, that would argue that Florida's $8.75 an hour is enough of a living wage to get by, let alone recover after COVID. And so I think some of those conversations will be much easier to be had, and we'll move the goalpost in trying to get something done on these issues.
Boy, when you just said the minimum wage number, it was like a slap in the face. I mean, it's because when I was a little kid, I remember what minimum wage was then, and that was a long time ago. I'm not like a young whippersnapper. I could say that because I grew up in the South, whippersnapper. And but it's like the fact that we have not let the minimum wage has not kept up with the cost of living is a problem. People who are working full time, multiple jobs at with many people are doing that. They still are living below the poverty line. It is it's horrible. It's horrible. And the other real like big issue is I played that song Roly Poly, and I know that you've worked for the Sierra Club. Environmental concerns are something that are really near and dear to your focus in your life, let alone in your work. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the environment.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, I started at the Sierra Club and my portfolio was always the Midwest. The hardest states to work on environmental issues, I covered from Ohio to Indiana to Kentucky. I was working with Republican led legislators on environmental policy, on responsible environmental policy, focused on economic benefit and economic impact, and making sure that we were advocating and supporting our most vulnerable communities. Oftentimes, in a lot of these states, you'll find that it's mostly people of color and people straddling the poverty line that live in these environmentally degraded places or surrounding industry in Detroit, Michigan, outside of Columbus, Ohio, looking at the Ohio River and all of the power plants and all of the industrial sites that sit along the Ohio River. Not only is it one of the largest rivers in the state, in the country, but it's the most polluted river in the country. And so we've fought a lot of these issues from an economic perspective, bringing conservatives with us and moving the needle on environmental issues in some of the most conservative states in the country. And so I tell people all the time, I'd be going into a state legislature that is Republican led, but my reputation and my experience is working with Republicans to bring about responsible environmental policy changes and shifts, understanding where they're coming from, understanding a conservative argument on the environment, but also understanding that we live in a peninsula. And so you can't say and reject that sea level rise is an issue, that red tide is an issue, that water quality and protecting our Everglades is an issue. They are not issues that people fight about in our state. Those are bipartisan issues that we need to find a creative way to be able to move the ball and move the needle on, especially since we pride ourselves so much on our tourism industry and in our wildlife and our ability to go fishing in the Gulf Coast, fishing on the Atlantic, fishing in Key West. I think that we need to do better for everyone, and I think that I can bring that about in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I love everything that you're saying, and what seems to be like a common thread between healthcare and climate change and the environment is when there's change, change could be chaos, but there's also opportunity. And looking at the economic opportunity, it is a jobs opportunity. And to not be really aggressive, having the government lead the way with whatever kind of incentives that might be available to make sure that businesses can get a little strategic advantage, not just here in the United States, but abroad. We should have been leading all along. And I know that there was individuals. I mean, I know friends of mine who they tried to start businesses, but it was really difficult. And so I see this common thread between all these different topics that you've addressed that's really smart. Yeah, and then invariably whenever we talk about state legislatures, we talk about public education, and there's just no getting away from that because we've defunded public education for decades, and so. What do you kind of see as kind of some solutions to addressing some of the public education needs?
And look, for me, it's again from a holistic perspective, right? Looking at what is going on the ground and deriving my opinion and deriving the strategy that I would approach it with based on my real world experience. My sister is a social worker for Miami-Dade County Public Schools here in Miami, and my cousin is a elementary school teacher at a public school here. And the things that I note from their experiences, they don't make nearly enough to make ends meet. That's first and foremost. They pay for their own supplies, they pay for their own things as a teacher, as an educator, and they're not getting paid what they deserve. That's first and foremost. Secondly, now we're seeing it. I don't know if anyone heard, but the Miami-Dade County school board's servers were hijacked the first 2 days of this school year by a 16-year-old, and people were like, "Oh, a 16-year-old was able to hijack the servers." Someone else made the argument that the servers are so outdated, but then my argument is, well, who's going to update a server and spend millions of dollars on technology when they barely have enough money to manage their schools in the first place? And so we need to have a conversation about where are we at? Why are we not fully funding our public schools, making sure our teachers are paid what they deserve, especially now? So many parents, again, post-pandemic, I don't think there's a parent out there that won't say the teachers don't deserve a pay raise. The teachers don't deserve to get paid what they're worth, because their value is exponentially more known to so many people, because so many parents have been having to deal with their children's education while we social distance and go virtual. And so that's the way I'm going to fight it. That's the way I'm going to make the argument. And that's the way I'm going to put pressure on my colleagues to do better, not just for kids, but for the teachers and the schools in general.
Absolutely great. Yeah, it's and it's also a long-term investment. I mean that it's an economic investment too. These things are not independent; they're all tied together. Yeah. So I have one more, and the one thing that I really, I mean, I obviously I'm doing the show for you, so I'm supporting your campaign and all the issues. But the one thing that really stood out, man, if you're a Floridian, you're on the road. You just don't have a choice. So tolls and transportation. That was the one topic I was like, tolls and transportation. I really like that. You don't see that on a lot of like top line issues that someone's running on. So what do you think? What can be done there?
Yeah, unfortunately, here in the state of Florida, we don't have many toll road systems. But the one that runs through my community is the only artery we have outside of our community. So in order to frequent the rest of the county or to get to and from work, you have to pay this toll road. On the other side of Miami, you had Republican state legislators fighting against a toll road being or a fast lane, an express lane being put into their free highway. And so you have people advocating against toll roads in their community, but my community's had a toll road there their entire lives. And then the conversation has to be had. This is where the working class of our county lives. They live here and they work on the east side of town. They work in our gig economy. They work in our transportation and our tourism economy. They work in our warehouses. They work all over the county, but they live out here. And so they not only have to pay for gas, they have to pay for tolls to and from work. And their lives are exponentially harder to live because more of their income is going to their transportation. We have no public transportation options on this side of town, and it's just absurd.
Absurd is right.
Especially
Yeah.
when only 10% of toll road monies come back to a county that pays over 60% of all the tolls in the state of Florida. It's wrong. We have to do better. And all of our representatives, Democrats and Republicans, have to start advocating more for that money to be coming back home, unless you got to cut down the toll road cost for all of us living on the west side. So it's one or the other. I will have my delegation pick and choose which one, either lower the toll cost or bring much, much more of that money down here so we can invest it in transit.
Awesome. Wow. These are the right things. I mean, like I'm no longer a resident, but my heart is in Florida. I mean, I'm doing these shows because I care about Florida. I care about my friends and family who live there, and I care about the state. So I love that you have selected, I think, some of the most important things of what we should be focusing on. So the big thing that's coming up is the election. So I'm going to put this graphic across our picture so people can see this thing. It is some deadlines that are coming up, and so the deadlines that are coming up to vote. The first thing is, hey, everybody should be registered, and not only should you be registered, but you should be thinking about are your friends, are your family registered to vote, especially if they're going to vote the way that you would like them to vote? I'm trying to be careful about that. But the deadline is October 5th. So please make sure you're registered. There's a, you can go to, where is this? registertovoteflorida.gov. Then the next deadline is October 19th. So October 19th is early voting, and that's when it starts. So you can drop your vote by mail ballot off at any county early voting site. And then the last day to request a vote by mail is October 23rd, but please, please don't wait. Do it now. You know, just while you're on a computer, you're on a computer, just go to the website and do it now. So, and then of course the November 3rd is the election. You know, you can only vote at your designated polling place, but you should have that on your calendar now. So that's kind of like the deal with that. All right. So I wanted to make sure that we covered kind of the deadlines that are coming up, because it's a tad important this time around, huh? So, all right. Well, Ricky, so what is there anything else that you wanted to address, to talk about?
I just wanted to really quickly say thank you. This is awesome. This is amazing. And it just shows how important this election is for everybody. RBG's passing away last night just brought it to the forefront of people's minds in a very different way. And I know that everyone is frustrated, and I know that other people are just questioning, you know, if there's anything they can do. I'm telling you, every person matters and every person counts. Go out and vote. If you can, donate a couple of hours in the next month and a half, even, you know, every hour that you go and phone bank for a candidate, if it's me or not me, every time you do a text campaign or a postcard writing campaign for a candidate, it matters. Every voter you can communicate with matters. So for me, go to voteforricky.com/volunteer, sign up to phone bank, to do postcard writing, to text voters. Whatever you can give, please consider doing. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for letting me be here and be on this platform. And I hope to win in November so that you can follow up with me after the election and be able to track if I actually keep my commitment, because I promise I will.
Excellent. Well, I love that. Well, don't go away for too long. We're gonna have Len play some music for us, and I'm really excited. Len is a longtime friend. I met Len. Yeah, I met Len back in 2018 when I started doing these shows in person, and I did them in Florida, the first time I ever tried any of these shows. And we had a ball playing in Miami at the Luna Cafe, and that kind of set us off in this friendship. So sit back and enjoy Len Seligman. He's basically like this spiritual songwriter, award-winning songwriter, and just a great heart, and one of the best performers I know in all of Florida. So let's bring Len up now.
Hey there. I'm assuming you all can hear me. Somebody chat.
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Awesome. Great. So the first song that I'm going to do is about something that is some people call wise speech. So that if there's something that you're not sure you ought to say, there's 3 wonderful questions you can ask yourself. Is it true? Is it helpful? And is it kind? And, this isn't a political song, but, it comes back to, I'm thinking about that guy in the White House. Boy, would I love it if he would ask himself if what he says is true, helpful, and kind. And I sure hope we will work our tails off to elect a decent human being to the presidency in Joe Biden. Driving down a country road, weather it was fine. I read words of wisdom on a small town church's sign? Is it be careful of the words you use? Keep them short and sweet. You never know from day to day which ones you'll have to eat. So I ask myself, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Don't wanna leave a mess behind. Maybe I'll press pause before I exercise my jaws. Just 3 simple questions save me every time. When I ask myself, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Well, may I speak with integrity and keep my conscience clean? Steer clear of harmful gossip. Say only what I mean. Karma's like a rubber band. You can only stretch so far. You get back together, no matter who you are. And I ask myself, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Don't wanna leave a mess behind. Maybe I'll press pause before I exercise my jaws. Just 3 simple questions save me every time. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? I'd like to leave an open door, talk a lot less and listen more. Whatever I'm about to say is better than silence. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Don't wanna leave a mess behind. Maybe I'll press pause before I exercise my jaws. Just 3 simple questions save me every time. Then I ask myself, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Thanks so much. I wanted to do now one that, so that's a song. It's on an album that I'm going to be releasing in, I don't know, December or January, as is this one also, this song. And this song was inspired by, it's a COVID-19 song, really. It came out of my experience with that. And it's inspired by the ways in which ordinary people have shown up for each other in a really difficult situation. And it's been so inspiring and so beautiful. And, you know, if only the leadership, the political leadership, could have been as decent and as conscious as most ordinary people have been. Hear that, Governor DeSantis and President Trump? Anyway. You lost your best friend, the future's unknown. You are afraid, you feel alone. You pray for a way out of this pain, and you wonder, is it all in vain? I wish that I could keep you safe There's an earthquake rumbling, there's no solid ground. You may doubt everything you thought you knew. Oh, I am here for you. Here for my friend, I'm here for you. By your side to help you through. Oh, I am here for you. I'll be here through the lonely night and gently remind you don't need to do things right, and you don't know how to start anew. Oh, I'm here for you, here for you, here for my friend. I'm here for you. By your side to help you through. Oh, I am here for you. I will not say find a silver lining. I will not say this is part of some plan, but I will show up and listen. I will take your hand. I am you, you are me. In times like these, it's plain to see. Angels among us show the way, and we make the world more beautiful every time we say, I'm here for my friend, here for you. By your side to help you through. Oh, I am here for you, for my friend, here for you. By your side to help you through. Oh, I am here for you. Oh, I am here for you. So being here for each other, that's what a lot of this is about, right? A government, having a government as decent as the American people. Boy, do I want that. And it's great that people like Ricky are out there running and doing the hard work. All right, so I'm gonna have a little fun now, and I wrote this song in 2018 for the midterm elections, but I updated a little bit. In fact, I updated it a little bit today to account for some recent events. It's called, well, there's a sing-along part, and I know you know your mics are muted and all that, but it's GOP, heed the call. We're gonna vote you out and you'll be gone this fall. The country needs an overhaul. We're gonna vote you out and you'll be gone this fall. claimed to speak for the little guy. Now we know that was a lie. He only fights for the privileged few, divides us into red and blue. He downplayed COVID, so many died. The GOP Congress takes his side. History will not be kind to the ones that never grew us fine. GOP, heed the call, we're gonna vote you out. You'll be gone this fall. The country needs an overhaul. We're gonna vote you out. You'll be gone this fall. Well, McConnell stole a Supreme Court seat. Now it's time he felt the heat. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she fought for us all. Now it's time for Mitch to fall. I can't believe that they love the Lord when they cut health care for the poor. Jesus might not like their prayers for tax cuts for billionaires. GOP, heed the call, we're gonna vote you out. You'll be gone this fall. The country needs an overhaul. We're gonna vote you out. You'll be gone this fall. We did not ask for dirty air, for climate deniers that just don't care about kids with asthma and kids with asthma and rising seas and more hurricanes and burning trees. They attack women's health. They only care about people with wealth. They don't care about public schools, and they never miss a chance to be cruel. You politicians, they're in the pocket of the NRA. We're gonna listen to the students marching in the streets and send you on your way. Everybody, GOP, heed the call. We're gonna put you out. You'll be gone this fall. The country needs an overhaul. We're gonna put you out. You'll be gone this fall. GOP, we're gonna put you out. You'll be gone this fall. Congress needs an overhaul. We're gonna put you out. You'll be gone this fall. All right, I hope everybody come on in.
Yeah,
All right, Len Seligman.
loved it.
All right, so let's rock that vote. All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Len, that's
Can you
so
do that
subtle.
for us?
It's like do something now. It's so subtle. I think that might be the theme of our song of our shows from now on. The subtle
That's
show.
awesome.
Oh,
That was
wow.
terrific. You got my heart pumping there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you did that one. I know that song from 2018 and beyond. Anyway, I'm so thrilled. Also, I want to introduce Linda Allen and Jen Brightman, who are helping out with Face the Music shows in the background. They do such great work, and they're great activists. They, without them, these shows don't happen. Also, yes. What? Did I do that?
Back at you.
There we go.
Go, Ricky,
You guys
go.
are adorbs.
I had to work on my heart there. Okay.
I
And
did.
Ricky, man, we need you to win.
Oh,
Yeah.
Need you to
indeed.
win. So
Come on, people. Get that
Yeah.
vote. One vote per
Come on.
person, but make sure everybody votes.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
so
is
they're
a
totally
I
right.
Do
mean,
something now.
do something now. Go out and volunteer for Ricky's campaign. If you can, donate. And hey, we love your campaign. You as a candidate, we know that you're going to win.
45 days.
Yes. And they'll be out this fall. Thank you. Yes.
And you get to rewrite the legislative districts. We need that. We need that.
Yeah, gerrymandering is
Majority.
kind of a big deal.
It's a huge deal, especially since we're rumored to gain 1 to 2 congressional seats,
Yeah.
and it's going to be next year's state house that's going to redraw those district lines. So yeah, it's very important, very important.
Huge. Well, I'm so thrilled to have done the show for you. I'm so thrilled about your campaign, Ricky. Thank you very much. I want to thank everyone for watching. These shows are a lot of fun, and Ricky, go win.
Go win.
Yes. Thank you so much,
right.
everyone.
Do it, Ricky.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.